I've got nothing but good news for you today. I really do. A lot of great news to share, and I got to take you to Fort Bragg. First of all, the bit about the naming of the the naming of the military bases, it cracks me up. You know, I've witnessed for decades the way the media and the left mock the South. They've always mocked Christians, but they especially hate Christian Southerners. You know, all the backwoods, toothless wonders in the South. That's how they characterize anybody in the South. You know, they talk funny and they're not as smart as we are. And we sure can't have any Confederate reminders of the Civil War. They want to pretend that the Civil War didn't exist, and they want to act like the Confederacy isn't part of our history. So what you do is you take the names of the military bases that are named for Confederate generals and you change it. Fort Bragg becomes Fort Liberty. We can't have Fort Bragg. He was a Confederate general. What they're doing in changing the names is a stroke of genius that is incredible. So let's get to that. And thanks to help from the Vigilant Fox, an account I follow on X, the Vigilant Fox sort of breaks down some highlights of Trump's speech. The most electric moment of Trump's address yesterday at Fort Bragg wasn't about military budgets or renaming military bases. It came when he spoke from the gut about the riots engulfing Los Angeles. This was a battle for the soul of America. The violence had spiraled for days, but aside from a few posts on Truth Social, Trump had largely remained quiet. That ended the moment he looked out across the crowd of troops and launched into what sounded less like a speech and more like a battlefield briefing.
I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. And some of the radical left, they say, oh, that's not nice. Well, if we didn't do it, there wouldn't be a Los Angeles. It would be burning today, just like the houses were burning a number of months ago. Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen. It's never going to happen.
Crowd, of course, roared. From there, he didn't just keep the pressure on, he escalated. And the troops were loving it. He painted the riots not as random chaos on, two isolated blocks, like my poor delusional friend said, but as a coordinated attack on the United States itself.
What you're witnessing in California is a full-blown assault on peace, on public order, and on national sovereignty carried out by rioters bearing foreign flags, with the aim of continuing a foreign invasion of our country. We're not going to let that happen. Remember, millions of people were allowed to come into our country totally unchecked and unvetted by stupid people or radical left people or sick people.
As the Vigilant Fox describes it on X, President Trump then unearthed something that ignites a fire within every red-blooded American, the burning of the American flag.
These are animals, but they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. Did you see a lot of the flags being burned? They weren't being burned by people from our country or from people that love our country. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. And we'll see if we can get that done.
And then came the bombshell, Vigilant Fox writes. Trump dropped another charge, one aimed at the people who are pulling the strings behind the curtain. And as everyone suspects, Trump said this isn't just rage in the streets. This is well-funded, well-planned, and professional.
And attempting to infiltrate and occupy federal buildings wearing armor and face shields. The best money can buy, somebody's financing it. We're going to find out through Pam Bondi and Department of Justice who it is. They're already on it. Who's financing all this equipment? Very professional. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy, and that's what they are.
And finally, he closed with the part about the riots, with the part that no one in the media wants to admit. All of this was allowed to happen as Gavin Newsom is thrashing about, trying to blame President Trump for the riots. What really is happening in Los Angeles is not happening by accident.
A lot of those people were let in here by the Biden administration. They just poured right in. They came from prisons, they came from jails from all over the world. They came from mental institutions. They were the leaders of gangs. They were drug lords allowed to come into our country. Their countries threw them out. Their countries would bus them or drive them right to our border and say, go in there. You ever come back, we're going to kill you. And we got them, and we're getting them out of here. I want to applaud the courage and the strength of the incredible troops who are right now standing guard to protect federal property and personnel and uphold the supremacy of federal law. That's what they're doing. They're protecting our ICE agents. They're protecting the police in Los Angeles. The head of the police in Los Angeles, a good man, I hear a good man, but he was actually saying we really did need this help. It had gotten away from them. It had long gotten away. And we gave it to him.
Wow. Patriot, this is just amazing. A speech that included Trump's reference to Old Glory, to the American flag that so many in the streets of Los Angeles, while waving Mexican and Palestinian flags, burned. Here's what he said about our flag.
And the only flag that will wave triumphant over the streets of Los Angeles is the American flag. So help me God. The American flag is the one that's going to wave triumphantly over the street.
And finally, he ended the speech, and he was getting applause, of course, and the familiar strains of YMCA began. And he stood there, and the master showman that he is, he waited until the verse began, and he launched into the famous Trump dance. And you know the dance, fists at the side, and you go back and forth. And he waited until the perfect moment, and wait till you hear the way the crowd reacted to this. Wow. Patriotism and joy. The look on those troops' faces, the exuberance, the pride, the joy that we have a commander-in-chief who's in control. Listen, if you missed the speech yesterday, it was something that was astounding, absolutely incredible.
For full shows, live and on demand, it's Salem News Channel.